Hi everyone, I hope you're well. Back in my alternative office today, and I want to talk to you about bridging today. I get quite a few people talking to me about bridging, asking me questions about it, and really with I would say, I don't know, the bad experience they've had previously, or it's been really expensive and it hasn't quite worked for them, and often people are quite scared of bridging finance. And I do get it to a point, it is expensive. And a lot of the reason that it can be expensive is because the assumption is with bridging is that you need it quickly, and therefore you are going to pay, as Jackie calls it, business class rates in terms of valuations and legals. So often it is expensive for that reason, but there are ways around that as well. But there are ways of doing things without using bridging finance in its sort of true sense. So there's really three ways that you can avoid using bridging finance. So firstly, if you've got a property that is in a lettable condition as it is, then it may well be worth, obviously it depends on the type of work that you're doing to the property, but there are instances, we've done a few recently, where we've put that property on a buy-to-let mortgage whilst other things happen. So for example, if you're waiting for planning to come through before you do any works to the property, you're looking to move it to an HMO over a longer period of time, or we have got a property at the moment we've completed on actually, which will be eventually developed, knocked down and converted into flats. But because planning is going to take such a long time and it is in a currently lettable condition, we're able to put it on a buy-to-let mortgage now to sit on it and wait and see what happens. So yeah, if the property is of a lettable standard now, we may well be able to put it on a buy-to-let mortgage. The things just to watch out for in that instance is if there's planning that's been granted already, then a lender may not like that if that involves doing something that falls outside of their criteria. And the other thing is that we will only be able to use the current rental figures for it. So you could say, oh yeah, I'm going to tidy it up, change the floor coverings, wall coverings, might change the kitchen or what have you, but from a valuation point of view, we can only use the market rent in its current condition. So just be aware of that, so we can talk that through to see whether we're going to be able to get to 75% figure based on the rental that you would get in its current conditions. That's the only thing to watch out for with that. If it's not in a brilliant standard, but you only need to tidy it up, there's a few things that you can do. We've got a lender that does a really good bridge to term product for really simple tidying up. If you're going to turn it into a small HMO, or just tidy it up for a buy-to-let. So they'll let you do any kind of internal works to the property, so changing kitchens, bathrooms, plumbing, boiler, redecoration, anything like that. No planning, no building regs. It does need to be an absolute maximum of 4-month build time, because the valuation is carried out initially. They'll give you a figure for now and a figure for after works. They'll issue the offer now for the bridge part and the term part as well, so you've got to do that within the timescales that are set at the beginning. So it is just more of a tidy up than it is a full-scale refurb, so just be aware of that. But it really does cut your costs back. So for example, the arrangement fee on the bridge is only 0.75% versus 2% that you would normally pay. And then moving from the bridge to the term, you're not paying a very small amount, but not really any legal fees, and you've already paid for the valuation, so you're cutting costs in that instance. And you know also what your end value is going to be before you start. So if your end value comes in, it's not quite where you want it to be, it may well be that you adjust your schedule of works, or you know that you're going to go to a different lender afterwards, which is a whole different conversation, but it does give you some options and you know what you're working with to start with. So that's the one thing you can do. There's another product that we've got which is a term product, but it allows you to do some works to the property within that term product. It's not the lowest of interest rates, but it may work in the instance that you're looking at. So we can do a 2-year fixed or a 5-year. Interest rates are roughly sort of between sort of low 4s up to sort of 5%, depending on the type of property, the loan amount, and the loan to value. But it allows you to be able to do some works within that product. So if it needs tidying up, and the benefit of doing it that way round is that we can give the valuer the schedule of works, and the valuer will give us a rental figure once you've done those works. So if, for example, the kitchen really needs changing, and there's no way you could let it out in the current condition that it's in, and that's the only thing that's wrong with it, then that would sort that out. If you've got buying a rundown HMO, for example, that's already licensed, you may already have tenants in there, but it's not in a brilliant standard, you wanted to change kitchens, bathrooms, floorings or what have you, that would work really well. So there are things that you can do within the product, but it is a term product. But as I said, we can do it on a 2 year, so it doesn't have to be too longer term. So yeah, that's another option for you. So there are ways of getting around it. We do have another lender that we work with that does a bridge to term product for more larger scale refurbishments. There's no cap in terms of time scales. We can do up to 18 months on a bridge with them. There's no caps in terms of the works that you can do, so you can do a complete heavy refurbishment with planning and building regs and extensions and anything within PD and all those sorts of things. But then you have got an amount of certainty that you're then you can move to a term mortgage with them. There is a reduction in the arrangement fee when you go into the term mortgage, and there's a reduction in the legal fees as well. So yes, bridging is expensive, but yes, we can absolutely minimise those costs, and we can try and find a way around it if it doesn't really work. But what I would say is that if you do need bridging, work out those costs within your project costs. And does it still provide the profit that you want it to? Or does it allow you to get the yield that you want to achieve long term? Don't be worried about it. Just factor the costs in and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The deal doesn't work. But in the same way as a project without bridging, you've just got to factor those costs in and see whether it works. If you've got a property that you're looking at and you want to run the figures past with me, we can have a look at interest rates. There are a few variables on there, so I don't really want to tell you interest rates just on an Instagram video because it's not quite as specific, but I am more than happy to run through those figures with you and see what you think. But yeah, give me a call if you need any more information.